Okay, we're talking lore again.
Okay.
I started recording. Go, Star, go.
Okay. So I'm with you, Neb, on this one. I don't think that Dream losing two canon lives, him being tortured, Techno being trapped, all like everything that could go wrong went wrong. I honestly think that those were not a part of his plan. Like Techno being trapped, tortured, Tommy killing him twice. I don't think those were a part of his plan at all. I
Right.
really don't.
Yeah.
Like
I
this.
don't think either, actually.
Wait, then did I misread somewhere? Because to me, everything that you were saying after Neb made it seem like you thought that it was like certain parts were.
Certain
Well,
parts, yeah.
what I'm saying is that he put himself in prison voluntarily.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I don't think he built the prison for himself.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was that was
agreed. Like
that
I
was a
do
big
agree.
point that me and Ryan disagree on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm with Neb on this one. I think that he did like have a couple different ideas because like anyone that could have been a threat to him, like Tommy, he can put them in the prison. He could have put them in the prison just so they wouldn't be a threat anymore.
Hmm.
So yeah, and then during the final disc war, when he knew that, oh shoot, if I it's either I go in the prison or I'm dead, then he just decided, you know what, change of plans. I'm going to the prison for my own safety.
Yeah, and
Well,
made
but like I get that, but then why stage something where he obviously like his only option is to go into prison? If he didn't want to go into prison, why not stage something where he looks good? It doesn't make much sense that it
because
would
he
be
knew
his last
Tommy was
option.
coming after him for the
Yeah,
discs, and in his
like he knew that
experience,
Tommy wasn't gonna stop until Tommy got the discs.
and
It
in
was
his
either he got the discs or Tommy was forever going to be chasing him.
exactly, and in his experience, Tommy is a rallier. He didn't like he told Tommy to bring Tubbo and come alone, but he didn't know that Tommy would like for sure respect that.
Yeah,
But
and Tommy
like
slightly didn't
He
because he
didn't.
paid
He
puns.
paid off puns.
Yeah, he
yeah,
tried to pay off puns.
Puns
Who was
Puns
going
was
to interrupt
always
them
on his
anyway?
side.
Puns didn't have to bring an army of people with him. Puns could have
Yeah,
interrupted them by himself and said, "No, Dream,
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you do this." But he ended up bringing a bunch of people because Tommy rallied them together.
yeah,
Well, no, because Pun's role was to get everyone to discover what Dream was doing. The thing is, at the time, no one knew what Dream was up to. Like, people were kind of scared of his strength, but no one had the motive to just straight up want him dead. Because no one knew about exile much. I mean, Tommy could have said something, but like obviously it's difficult for him. And yet
Yeah.
again, he could have like modified people's opinion because he's Dream. And like I really believe if he cared enough, he could have got people on his side to believe what he was saying, which he didn't do, which was kind of weird and kind of stupid. But like, I mean, shit happens. And I believe that those people, like that Puns rallied, weren't rallied by Tommy. If Puns wasn't here, I mean, kind of in a way, but not directly. If Puns wasn't there to say, "Hey, you should come with me. I know Dream is up to something really bad, and we have to go help Tommy," I don't think they would have gone because, like, they were fully ready to let Tommy and Tubbo go without them
Yeah.
and be like, yeah, that's a fine decision to let him go against Dream. Like, I don't understand how people did not see they would just get slaughtered. Like, they had no chance against Dream, like zero.
That
They were
yeah.
basically dead,
that is
and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, sure, why not?" What?
Well,
And
well, here's the thing. They weren't just like, oh, sure, why not? They were bidding farewell. Like the whole entire thing along the Prime path was them bidding farewell, saying final goodbyes. they did care. Even if they hardly showed it, they did care. Like, almost everyone was along the Prime path bidding their farewells.
It definitely seemed like a final goodbye. Like, I agree with that.
Like, they cared.
That's interesting, and we talked about it a little bit, I think, because, like, it's funny how everybody kind of cares for Tommy when Tommy doesn't care about people much, which is also interesting because it's something he's working on with Phil right now. The fact that he has problems caring about others that aren't his, like, close friends, when on the other side, everyone else kind of worries for him. Like, there's people who still hates him, but he's been nothing but an annoyance for a lot of people, and even for those people, like, he's kind of like someone they want to, like, help, which is interesting.
Here's the thing. Here's where my interpretation of Tommy comes in, because Tommy doesn't just go around messing with everyone. He goes around to specific people like George, Bad, Tubbo even.
Jack.
He goes around to, Jack. And I think that's, in a way, his way of showing that he does care. The fact that he messes with them. Even if he does, like, destroy their house or something, I think it's his way of showing that he does care. It's a very indirect way, not a very obvious way, but I think it is his way of showing it. And, like, for those that are even closer to him, like Tubbo, he does show it in a different way. But for those that he does, like, somewhat care about, that he does, like, you know, like, as a friend, just, you know, like more than just an acquaintance, I think he will start to mess with them and grief them and steal their stuff and all that. Like, I think that's just his way of showing that he cares.
I would hardly disagree with that. Like, very hardly. Because, like, for example, for me, he has a way on, like, going on about grieving other people's stuff. Like, for example, when there was the Christmas houses last year, and he started destroying them because, like, he just didn't like them, and Bad Boy Halo was like, no, it's Enfrost's house, you can't do that, and Tommy was like, you can't tell me what to do, I do what I want. He didn't care about his relationship with Enfrost deteriorating, and he didn't care about his relationship possibly deteriorating when he grieved Quackity's house, when he grieved George's house, when he grieved Sapnap's house, when he grieved anything that he did against other people. That was his way of, like, not being really scared of his relationship deteriorating, and that was, like, I would say that was the opposite of caring. He did not really care about their reaction, and he was fine with, like, paying the price. Them not liking him as much, them not trusting him as much, them maybe wanting to grieve him back in return was not that big of a deal for him.
Well, here's the thing, that goes into him, like, being somewhat of a kid, because he knows that he knows for a fact that he'll, like, be grieved in response, so he goes after specific people just to mess with them.
I'm not saying he's not a kid.
I know.
I never said that he was. I'm just saying that he has a way of not caring too much or not taking seriously other people's attachment or other people's relationship with him, and be, like, very, very carefree and kind of, like, self-centered about the things he does. That is interesting because people still want to connect with him. Like, for example, Jack has been paying the price of his carelessness a lot of times. Like, he thinks about him first, and, like, if it hurts others, he doesn't pay as much attention unless it's someone, like, very close to him, like Wilbur or Tubbo. And Tubbo, it took a lot of time for him to open up about this. But other people like Jack, he doesn't care much about, like, hurting him really, like, a lot. And, like, if, like, Jack is really hurt or, like, is going through a terrible time, he would not know because he doesn't actually fully care. But at the same time, on his end, Jack cannot shake the, like, wanting to get closer to Tommy. And he tried several times getting back at Tommy, having like they're trying to have a second chance at bonding, and or a third chance on everything, getting closer to him again. That was always answered with indifference from Tommy, or like not interested. And every time Jack was even more hurt, and then ended up caring so much he wanted to like, because hate is like another way of caring. Tommy doesn't hate people. He doesn't love them. He doesn't hate them. He just grieves because he's kind of like really self-centered about that. It's like something that he finds fun in, and that's the only thing he cares about. He doesn't grieve George's house because he hates George or because he loves George. He does it because it's funny and that it's his way to have fun. Like you said, he's a kid about this, and he just does what he wants. Doesn't really care too much if their relationship is deteriorating, and doesn't care about George's feeling towards his own house or his own stuff. Like it's just something that just doesn't get to him, and that he probably has a bit of trouble empathizing, maybe. And when he hurts Jack, Jack is always like, either he hates Tommy or he tries to like come back to Tommy, even though he's been through a lot, for example. And he hates him, and then Tommy dies and he's destroyed. He's like, oh, I didn't actually want him to die. I'm like feeling so empty and everything. I don't think Tommy would have felt empty if like Jack died. Actually, he killed him, and that didn't even cross his mind. You know what I mean? Like others are drawn to Tommy when Tommy isn't really drawn to others. And that's really interesting because Tommy is not a character that doesn't evolve. He constantly evolves. Like he evolved so much from the point he started in the Dream SMP, where he was like not caring about anything, not even about Tubbo. Like if Tubbo died in the fight, he would like take the disc and just run. He would have just not cared that much. And as time went by, there was Wilbur, and he was really attached to Wilbur. By extension, he was really attached to Lemberg. He started giving a little bit more of him for others and for other things, and empathizing a little more with people. And that's something that still is like on a close circle with Wilbur, with the Lembergians, with Tubbo, and that doesn't like go too far. Like most of the other person on the Dream SMP, he doesn't care that much, but he's still growing right now, and he's working on with Phil. And Phil says, "Oh, but people, they are worth way more than things. They are worth your attention, and you should pay attention to them." I don't know if it was purposefully a plot point that they wanted to bring to light. But I think that's really, really interesting that while Tommy draws people to him, like suddenly he is learning how to pay attention more to people and who they are and what it means to pay attention to people. I think that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting evolution to his character, too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to Tommy.
Yeah.
But that's normal. He's been around for so long.
He's been... Huh. Yeah, I watched a clip of Phil talking about his scenes with Tommy. And, like, this entire arc is all Tommy's idea, too, so...
That's interesting.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Phil doesn't really plan his own lore. He just appears on other people's.
True. But it could have been like completely unplanned. Like Phil has that kind of mentality already. It feels natural.
Oh yeah,
so it could have been.
It's definitely natural for his character to want to teach Tommy these lessons.
Yeah. it seems in accord to also like what's going on right now. So it didn't really like strike me as like especially planned. But yeah, also like yet again with the theory that Dream wants to keep Tommy alive because like Tommy rallies people and he probably wants everyone to rally against him, and by making an enemy out of Tommy,
But he already
maybe
did that.
yeah, that's true. That's just
That
confusing because
was kind of a a big point in the final discourse, that everyone was rallied against Dream. So
yeah, but not enough.
if it wasn't supposed to happen at
Yeah,
that
that's true.
moment, what would where was it supposed to
He
happen? I don't know.
he's definitely going after something big, and I have no idea. I have no idea.
Well, here's the
That's
thing.
one of the
He's
things.
told us. He's told us. One
No,
big happy family. He
I
wants everyone to
mean,
be united again like they were before all the countries.
Yeah, but then
He
that's
wants
very
people to be
sacrificial of him to basically cast himself out of that familial circle. Ugh.
yeah, I think he's ready
yeah.
to do that.
He
I
wants
think
he.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't
like
he want to be a
he's
part
willing
of
to
it?
sacrifice everything if it means getting that family together again. If it means
that's
getting rid
what
of
I think.
countries.
That's also what I think. He's ready to like even like traumatize Tommy to whatever extent he has to go for. He's just gonna go for it. If it means he has to risk his life, he's gonna go for it. If it
Yeah.
means he has to traumatize other people, he will go for it also. So I think that's definitely linked to that. To that, like his original like role on the server was to keep peace and everyone together. That was his original like the thing he had to do, and that was linked to who he was. He's the owner of the server.
Yep.
He's supposed to keep things together and in place, and he's supposed to make sure that no one actually takes advantage on one another too. And I think he really despised, like in character, obviously. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
CC at
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
point.
Oh yeah.
I think he really despised the idea of Lemberg and starting because like I said about politics and power, politics don't exist when you have only one thing in the world. Like politics exists in opposition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If there is only one thing that exists, one country that exists, then there is no country. There is no laws because like there is only one model. As soon as someone is against that and creates another group, then politics starts to exist. And politics leads to what? They lead to conflict of opinion and wars and stuff. And the problem is unifying people when everybody is different is almost an impossible job. Like, people are not going to agree on everything, and you can't fight against that. The
Yeah.
only way would be to use what people go for in general, which is, like Techno well put it, brain is wired to focus on negative things. And having a common enemy is actually, I mean, I actually, it's just a theory, so I'm not sure that's what Dream is going for. But that would be a really good plan. But that's also something I said at first. The problem is that technically he's already the server's scapegoat. So I don't understand much. Like, he said he had a big plan with puns, but he's already hated by the server. So what is he trying to get at? Like,
He's
I
trying
believe
to
he
get rid
might
of the
be
governments at this point. Like he just needs to get rid of people's need
yeah,
for government at this point.
that's true. I think he's trying to unify people more than just putting someone in prison. I think
Yeah.
he wants probably to get rid of all sides. Like, get rid of the wish of people to like do Last Nevada's Kinoko Kingdom kind of
That actually makes a lot
theater.
of sense.
Yeah.
Getting rid of
And one thing I will say is that I'm willing to defend Dream's changed opinion on L'Manberg during the Pogtopia era when he said that, I eventually changed my mind on L'Manberg, and as long as it's just a place where you frolic in the fields, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just a separate area for them and them alone.
Yeah.
I think he was legitimately fine with that idea.
It was the rules, and it was the building of it was like the exclusion.
Yeah, the exclusion that he didn't like.
members.
Yeah. Like, as long as they were allowed to just, like, come in and, like, visit and all that, like, as long as they weren't excluded from the area, then he was perfectly fine with that, as it just being a place for them to frolic in the fields.
Not even, because, like, we talked about it a little bit on the other story.
Like, obviously, with Tubbo's administration and all that, his opinion quickly changed, but, during Pogtopia, I do believe that his opinion did change for the positive towards L'Manberg.
Well, the thing is, it didn't really change. I think he really wanted L'Manberg gone at the end of the day, but Schlatt was worse, so he was like, no. Actually, it was, like, I didn't like L'Manberg, but it was better than this, so might as well promote L'Manberg again.
Yeah, that's why he
for
said
now.
Yeah.
But I think deep down, he wanted it gone anyway. But the thing is, in the very beginning, and that's interesting, we talked about it a little bit on the previous server, but you weren't there, so maybe you didn't see. It's gonna be back up in the messages in the Dream channel probably. I actually don't really know, but like in the very beginning, Dream was perfectly okay with the idea of them making an area like L'Manberg that was called L'Manberg. He didn't care about the drugs. He didn't care about the traffic thing, etc. It was a Sapnap problem. Sapnap was like, "Oh, you can't do this. I'm gonna take you to court." But Dream himself didn't care, and like Sapnap was like, "Oh, you gotta see this." When Dream logged in after the event, and Dream was like, "Oh, I saw the drug ban," and he was happy about it. He didn't care at all. And then the problem was Wilbur came and was like, "We're gonna be independent and we're gonna be able to do whatever we want. Like, we're not gonna follow your rules anymore." But Dream's rules were the rules that he thought were protecting the server. No griefing, no killing, and no stealing.
And even then, those rules were also still, like, hardly enforced. Like, even when it was just Dream, George, Sapnap bad, etc., like, prior to Tommy, even then there were still, like, griefings and stealings and things like that.
Absolutely. Those rules were usually enforced when it was getting really, really bad. When it was
when things were getting out of hand.
When it was really hurting someone on the server who was like, "Oh, someone stole from me and that I'm really upset about this. We should do something." But usually if it was just a friendly fire or something like that, Dream didn't even intervene. Like, he wasn't obsessed with power. Like, that's also a thing that's interesting when people talk about Dream saying like, "Oh, he's always been obsessed with power." Actually,
no, he hasn't.
No. In the beginning, he didn't care what people were doing on their own, if they were like whatever. Like, he really did not care that much.
Yeah.
And as soon as Wilbur said, like, "We're not gonna obey your rules," that was the breaking point. Because for him, not obeying his rules is like really bad news. If suddenly you give yourself the right to just grieve and kill and destroy whatever you want, that was a him problem, because he's in charge of making sure that everyone has a good experience on the server, and that's his role as the owner of the place. So that was the breaking point for Dream. When he started to hate L'Manberg, because for him that was bad. And that's also funny because he had a discussion with Skeppy that is usually clipped to show how Skeppy was in disagreement with Dream going against the Manberg. And he was like, oh, but the Manberg is just so small. Like, why can't you give them just that? It's just a small part of the land. And Dream was like, it's not about the size. And I completely agree. For him,
Yeah.
it wasn't about the size. It was never about the size. And like, he even said he was even discussing with Wilbur before the war, saying like, if you want us not to go inside of your land, we won't go. Just you are under the Dream SMP laws. And that's the only thing. Like, you're part of Dream SMP. You're not independent from Dream SMP. You can have technical independence if you want to call yourself whatever, but you will follow the rules of the Dream SMP. And if you want to close your land to other people, you can do that. Because in Dream's mind, it was like Punz's house. Like, if Punz says, oh, you can't go inside of my house if I don't allow you, like, Dream is going to say, yeah, of course. It's your land, and if you want to do something like together, 3 people, and saying, oh, we take all this area and it's going to be our house, and we don't want people
and, like,
to then.
Literally, like, if Punz says that, then he'll respect it. And Punz, like, and here's the thing, Punz has much more land than L'Manberg had in its infancy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it was never a problem.
So yeah, it was never really a problem with him that L'Manberg really existed. It was just the fact that it was just the rules.
Yeah, and the thing is, and that's where Wilbur's genius just comes into play. I believe Wilbur understood that about Dream extremely well. He knew that the problem wasn't about the size, and the problem to Dream would be him saying he didn't want to obey Dream's rules. And that would create conflict. And that's it really interesting because he admitted it when he was revived that creating the Manberg was to stick it to the man. He was talking about
I'm really starting to see that now. Like, at first I was just in denial alongside Tommy about that. And now I'm like really starting to see it. Like, I'm actually starting to agree with that. Like, yeah, he just wanted to make it to stick it to the man.
Yeah.
Oh god. The one place I've been attached to for a year now was just made to stick it to the man.
But the Manberg was amazing, and the Manberg became so much more than this. And even for Wilbur himself, the Manberg was more than that at the end of the day. But the
I think that deep down Wilbur did legitimately care about the Manberg.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I do believe too. I do sincerely believe too. But the reason it was made, I think, he wasn't lying. Like, he didn't make it on the spot. And, like, a lot of people are in denial about that and just, like, scratch it and do not think it existed. But he did say it pretty quickly, pretty, like,
bluntly.
He did, yeah, pretty bluntly. And it's also interesting because there is something else that he said when he was going to betray L'Manberg. He said, yeah, I may be the traitor. It's exactly glossed over just the same. Like, people don't want to believe it, so whatever he says is just not believed. But that's funny because that's also how his manipulation power extends. Like, he is so good at making others believe and trust him, that when he suddenly gives you all the clues to understand that it's not actually true, you don't believe him. He's just that good.
Yeah.
This man is just absolutely amazing. Like, you want to believe he's going to be on your side, and, like, you want to believe he's not going to betray the member. So when he says, oh, I may be the traitor, you don't even, like, you're not even...
Yeah, you don't spare him a glance.
And he knows that people won't trust him. He knows that. That's also why he says it. Because he knows he has that grasp on others and others' mind. And, like, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine. He's just a genius.
Yeah, he is a freaking genius. Holy crap.
I always say, like, his specific strength compared to all of the other manipulators on the server is that when Dream manipulates, when Quackity manipulates, the viewers
we're
see it,
keenly aware that they are manipulating.
Yep.
But when Wilbur manipulates, we don't spare him a glance. We don't realize.
Wilbur manipulates the character and the viewers at the same time.
And I think that's partly because of Tommy's perspective. Tommy presents Wilbur in his streams as, like, his hero, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
And honestly, I think that everything that everyone now is calling manipulation, everything that Revivebro said that people are calling manipulation, I honestly think that some parts of it are genuine. Like with him being so happy that Ronbu was with him for the van.
Oh yeah.
I think that was truly genuine. I think he was happy to finally have someone that would actually listen to him, that could understand him.
But that's the way a really good manipulator goes. If you're really a good manipulator, you're not gonna look for lies upon lies. You're gonna use the things that are true and that you really feel and maybe transform them, just orientate them in the way you want them to go. But if you make things up, it's too obvious that it's not if Wilbur seemed obviously happy to have Ranbu on his side and suddenly said, "Oh no, I don't want you with me, just get out," and everything, it would seem weird. But since he's feeling happy, he's using that happiness and orientates it the way he wants to go at some point. And I think his manipulation are more visible now, because after the limbo time, he's less in control and less able to have that that control he had over himself and his own emotions in the past. Mm-hmm. I think it changed him, so now it's easier to see. But like the clip I posted, I think it was on the Wilbur channel. You see when he goes up a block or two to talk to people now that he's revived.
Yeah.
He did that back when he was building Lememberg with Tommy.
Yeah, he always wants to be above someone when he talks to them. He never wants to be at the same level or below.
Well, that's a thing that's visible now, but that I never really realized he was doing before. It was just subtle. And now he doesn't care too much about how subtle he is. Now he has less control over how subtle he presents himself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, well, that was, I think, kind of the reason why I do believe Dream's main goal would be to have actually this big family. I've seen people on Twitter going "Oh, Dream doesn't want a happy family. He's traumatizing everyone. He's doing terrible things." But I think that Dream's definition of having a happy family is different from those people's definition of having a happy family. Dream doesn't, I don't think he sees himself being part of the family. Him hurting others is not a big deal because he has to unify others together, but I don't think he's supposed to be part of it in his
which is just really sad, honestly.
So sad.
I feel bad.
It's sad that it's come to this.
That wasn't always the case.
Yeah, early on, he thought that he could maybe get the big happy family back just pretty easily without excluding himself, but at this point he knows that there's no other choice. He has to exclude
Well,
himself, or else the big happy family will never truly come to be. Or at least that's the way he thinks about it.
I think that's true. I think he believed he could be in it as long as he was trying to defend his point of view. There is a point where he was still trying to say that, like, for him, like, when he was debating for Lemberg and after the war, being like, no, like, the rules, they have to be with our rules, and you understand, and, like, we have no problems for them to close their land, and we'll be okay with that. And he was trying at some point to justify his point of view, and then slowly it stopped. And there was really a breaking point when he decided he wanted Tommy to be exiled, where I think he completely endorsed this role of being the bad guy and completely went with it. He was like, everybody already thinks I'm a bad guy, so might as well just go for it and do whatever I want to do, because I'm not going to be able to change that anyway. I'm not going to be able to explain what I mean, what I think, and they're not gonna agree with me, and like, just might as well take that and run with it, take that label, and just indulge in doing whatever I want and not care about how wicked it is, because like, they're gonna hate me anyway. So let's go and let's just torture Tommy. I think he really wanted to. I do believe he really disliked Tommy, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. I'm just rereading.
hmm?
I'm just rereading.
What?
To see if there's a topic that we haven't talked about.
Okay.
Now, one thing from the Dream channel that I will agree with you on, Ryan, is that Dream probably did bank on the fact that Sam would be loyal to the rules, and he didn't think that Quackity would, he would team with Quackity to torture him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too.
Yeah.
I mean, he worked with Sam. With Sam, he must have known
he knew Sam.
And see how he was committed to the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that he probably didn't realize or plan on was that Quackity and Sam had history.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't see, like, I agree with you, Nebutri, on that one. Like, you can't see so far ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had no idea that Sam would take it so seriously to the point where he would be okay with any kind of any breaking of the rules. But that kind of makes me think, if he knew that people were going to come in, and like, if he knew he was going to be trapped in a box, and he had this target that was the revive book, and he knew that people were going to want to, one, maybe talk to him about it or try and get it off of him, and he knew that he would have more health than them, since they were supposed to come in with half a heart, so he would be kind of safe in that regard, right? That, like, that's the prison keeping him safe. That what you were mentioning.
Right? I do believe that for him, the prison was a way to be safe.
Yeah.
Like, he literally made himself, without even the thing about the people, like the fact that he was locked in a box and people wanted to kill him. Like, he made himself be hated by everyone with that stage. And the only reason they didn't kill him was that they could put him in the prison. But if he planned on going into prison and he staged it that way so that people would put him in prison without any trial, without any question, without thinking twice about it. Like, no one stood up for him. And not even his previous friends, no one was like, oh, maybe for the sake of justice, we should probably think about this. Like, everybody wanted him gone. And I do believe that the reason why he made this was that the prison was supposed to keep him alive.
But that would
And
only be the case if he was planning on revealing that he had the Revive book, and that's what the final disc war was for.
Yeah.
Why would he do that? Nobody knew that he had it, and nobody knew what the power was.
It was supposed to keep him alive. But it was supposed to keep him alive of a situation he made up. Like, if he didn't care about the attachment, because like he was planning on giving them back anyway that day, then why gather them to make him be hated?
That's what I'm asking.
He just fully wanted that hate for some reason. I think whether it's uniting the server or something else, he's really looking on getting people's hate for some reason. I think he's planning on using that hate to make them do something in opposition. That's my theory. Whether it's uniting or something else, I think he's planning on making them do something. But he wanted to survive anyway from a situation he created. And he was making himself a target. He was fully consciously making himself a target, but he also made the prison so that technically you're not supposed to be a menace for the person you visit. You're supposed to arrive on half a heart. The half a heart thing was always the thing that kind of like made me wonder, like, why? Because like technically when you're visiting someone who's dangerous, you shouldn't be the one who's like almost dead. You, like, the prisoner probably should be the one who's on half a heart. But then I was like, oh, that's probably a mechanism to like be brought back out of the cell in case of like something's going wrong. Except every time they went to the prison, everybody kind of assumed that as soon as they were in the prison, like in the cell, they were actually locked in there. And that's how they acted in canon.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a plot hole or something, but they were like, okay, now that we're in the cell, we can't get out. And I was like, yeah, you could die and like you would be teleported back.
Yeah, and it's also a way for Sam, for the warden, the guards, to be able to be sure that they can stop you if you try and help the prisoner to escape. It's an easy way to stop you. So if you're on half a heart, then and you somehow have items even at the final, even when you're walking across, then it's an easy way for them to stop you.
Well, not really in a way, because like if you're on a half a heart and you're trying to do something while you're in the cell, Sam can't do anything about it unless he comes himself to the cell. Because like Dream is the only one who can kill you, who can like take that half a heart out of you. So if he chooses not to, then Sam would have to cross the bridge. To
he could burrow through the lava.
I mean, I guess he could, but still, that's not the best way probably to. But I mean, then I was like, it probably has a reason, like official reason, and I think it was protecting the visitor in a way or another, even though it wasn't really used in canon. But I don't know. But it was definitely one of the rules that Dream wrote for the prison. Visitors are supposed to come fully, not naked, but like not holding any stuff or armor or anything that could even protect themselves. And they're supposed to come in half a heart. So.
Yeah, true.
For me, it was also defense mechanism for the prisoner. Like, obviously, other people are kept safe from Dream, and Dream is kept safe from everyone else too.
Yeah.
But then it was not respected by Sam, which is something Dream never thought would happen because he thought Sam was so strict with the rules, and then the prison didn't have a purpose anymore. Like, if it's supposed to protect him also, then, and it doesn't, then the prison is just, like, it doesn't serve any purpose anymore.
Yeah, and one thing that you can definitely tell is that Dream only started to really scream for Sam, was only scared of Quackity after he tried to swing at Quackity and kill him. Once he knew that Quackity wasn't at half a heart, he knew he was basically screwed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like, he swings first, screams later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was terrifying. Like, yeah. Dream's scream when he called to Sam.
Yeah, because, like it scared me when I first heard it.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
I was terrified. Like, his scream, like, Dream is such a good actor. Like, his scream,
and it, like, he nearly gave me a freaking heart attack. Jesus.
I was literally staring at my screen, like, terrified. I was horrified. I was just, my mouth open and, like, what just happened? And horrified. Because, like, it's something that's always kind of terrible to see. Like, there was this denial for a second. Obviously, if Quackity was inside of the cell with armor and stuff to kill him and full life, Sam would obviously know about it. And still, Dream turned to Sam and was like, Sam, help! Like, he was really in denial that Sam would do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I got my analysis on how Sam views the rules, is basically that scene. That's interesting. But I'm kind of backtracking on something, but I thought that Tommy's death in the prison wasn't planned just because they revealed that they made it up before the event. But it might actually make sense that Sea Dream did have it planned. I think he might have wanted to revive someone in the prison, and that it was Tommy.
That's what he thought.
Which is why the explosions went off and made Tom, like, why else would he trap Tommy in prison with him?
That's also what I thought personally. Like, I thought he was planning on, but at the same time, like, he made himself be trapped with Tommy, and at the same time, he really seemed to, like, try to talk it out. Like, he wasn't aggressive. He wasn't even that annoying. Like, he was trying. Obviously, Tommy was not having it because Tommy is traumatized, and he was just not in a good place at all. And, like, honestly, being trapped with Dream was a terrible experience. But Dream was like, well, now that we have to be together, I just think we should, like, stop going at each other and just go with it. And Tommy was like, no, we can't, like, you're a bitch, and everything. So something in me, at the same time, I'm like, yeah, he definitely wanted to kill Tommy. And at the same time, he wasn't looking for a confrontation. So I don't know how to interpret this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe he was taunting him in a way.
Yeah, because he's taunted him in the past. But, like, taunting him into thinking that the Revive book wasn't real, and then
Maybe.
using it to prove a point.
Oh, he definitely used it to prove a point.
Yeah, and he definitely wanted Tommy to go out and say the Revive book actually is real.
Yeah.
But that makes me think that he wanted somebody else to come into the prison.
Well, at least he wanted people to actually believe in his power.
Yeah, because I think that while he was in the prison, he did at least somewhat fear that people would, like, doubt, like, similar to how Tommy did, doubt that he actually had it, and he only said it as just a way to save his life.
Yeah.
Like, just so he can solidify the idea that, yes, I do freaking have this, do not doubt me.
I think it wasn't the only purpose of, like, having Tommy. I think killing him and, like, sending that message wasn't the only message he wanted to send.
Yeah,
Also,
but it was definitely, like, one big one that he wanted to send just in case. Like, that was more of a, like, just in case type thing. Like, it was more like the second thing he wanted to do, but there was definitely something else he wanted to do with that revival. Like, some other message he wanted to send.
I do agree. But, like, tying to the theory that he wants other people to unite against him, it's interesting because, like, if he's in the prison, he's not gonna be that much of a menace to anyone. He's not gonna be scary. Like, he's still around. People are still, like, disliking him and being like, oh, we all are united by the fact that we don't like him, but we don't need to actually unite. It's not needed because he's not actually a threat to anyone anymore. And that what's funny is that as soon as Tommy came out of prison, the first thing he did was rally people, being like, oh, we actually, even if he's in the prison, he's still a menace. We really, really need to, like, gather and try to get rid of him, just like back in the old days. So my thought were that he actually trapped Tommy with him to send the message that he was still a threat and still a menace. And even if he didn't plan to kill Tommy, he planned to scare Tommy at least, and also say to him, I'm gonna escape. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna go after you. I'm gonna go after other people. I'm still scary. And, like, at first I was trying to analyze why he would have said that if he wasn't trying to unite people against him, and I was like, this is a weird way to go about things. If I was a prisoner and I really, really wanted to get out and, like, go about my life and, like, actually terrify people, I wouldn't scream it on, like, at everyone. I wouldn't be like, hey, I'm gonna escape, guards. It would be weird to just say that. And that's funny also because, like, he told that to pretty much everyone that visited him. I'm going to escape. Be scared of me. And like, he didn't say be scared of me, but that was kind of the message I understood.
Like, it was implied.
I think. So that's my theory. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there was something else I didn't see, and that's totally possible. I think we're nowhere near understanding the full extent of what happened, and, like, further reveals might change how we view those events. But for now, I think it kind of makes sense. And that's just an interesting correlation. That suddenly, right after the prison, and I mean, understandably, completely understandably, suddenly Tommy rallies people like back in the old days while everybody was kind of sleeping on the Dream Menace. Interesting. Also about Ranboo's mentality, I pointed it out, I think, a little bit, but there is a clip of an animation that I really like where Ranboo is like, how can no one see that Dream is the main enemy? Yeah. And if we all allied against him, we could take him down easy. And I was like, that's interesting because that's, I mean, considering the theory I had, that's exactly what Dream would want. And coming from Ranboo, who has a interesting tie to Dream, like it would be funny that indirectly, without understanding, Ranboo would be promoting exactly what Dream wants. It would be ironic.
That's kind of interesting, like subconsciously, if he knows
Yeah.
the plan, and that's how he actually, like, that would be interesting. But like, if Dream wants a big happy family, isn't that a little bit naive?
Probably.
Like, I'm going to make myself the enemy of everyone, and everyone will unite against me, and then what?
The problem is, he really, if he wants to do that, it's like Lemember, you see? It's funny because, like, when he destroyed Lemember, in a way, I think he really hoped that those kind of, like, side things, they would disappear, which was, like, stupid because it only made more sides.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, Tubbo split off and made Snowchester. Quackity split off and made Las Nevadas. Carl split off and made Kanoko Kingdom. Like, he created more countries.
Yeah, obviously. That's exactly that.
Well, yeah. So it's a little bit naive of him to think that trying to unite everyone against him is going to last.
Yeah, I agree. It would be like, it would work only if he stays a menace for everyone
forever
and not die.
Yeah.
Because if he dies, then everything just kind of disperses again, and it's over, and his hard work was for nothing. So that's also an argument towards that's not actually what he wants to do, like unite people. I think that would be an interesting argument to maybe it's completely different what he wants. Because, like, yeah, him staying a threat to everyone forever is not feasible, and him basing all of his plan on that would be stupid. I do agree with that.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into more speculation on what Dream's plan actually is, and I try not to do that.
So many speculations. Dimitri, I'm going crazy. I've been going crazy all the time. Every time that, like, since this reveal, I'm just like, oh God.
And you know, one thing that makes me a tad bit sad, but I can at the same time understand?
No.
Dream in a recent Discord podcast revealed the fact that his he said that he was lazy, and now his view for his lore video has toned down a lot to just like a 2-minute video that he may post on Twitter.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I heard him say that. I was in the Discord when he said that, and I was like, Dream.
Oh. Yeah. Like I can understand, because like a lore video is a lot to do. Like it's just a lot to handle. Like trying to get people together for it, act it out.
Yeah.
edit it. Like, it's a lot. And
Yeah.
trying to make it just right. Like, I can understand why he toned it down, but it still just makes me sad. Because
Yeah.
I would have loved
Yeah.
a longer video.
Oh, definitely.
Mhm.
I think everyone is starving for that.
Yeah.
Even aunties of his character, like, would absolutely love to have more fuel to whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
apologists would thrive, and an
Yeah.
analyst would thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even people who don't care that much, like, he's just such an important character in the Dream SMP, and what he does ties to a lot of other characters too. Like, people care about what you do, like, really, 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 they really do. Oh
Yeah.
God.
And so, like, I can understand why his vision for it has decreased, because he's just that much of an important character, and he needs to be so careful with how he handles it as to not give, like, apologists too much fuel.
Yeah.
And not to give antis too much fuel. Like, he needs to really freaking balance it so perfectly.
Yeah,
I
but
Like, no
I
one
like
else
to
has the balancing act that he has.
Yeah.
Like, no one else has to do that tough balancing act as well as he needs to. So I can understand why he like, his vision has shrunken.
Right.
It's a huge pressure too.
Although I'd like to think that Dream's the type of content creator that he doesn't care about what antis think, and that he just makes the
Yeah,
content
yeah,
that
definitely.
he
He
likes.
doesn't care what antis think, but still, like, it's still just like a good, like, balancing act. I know that he knows he needs to, like, work out with a lore video, no matter how long.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, even if it's a 2-minute video, like, the thing is that he said he wasn't even sure he was gonna post it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I'm
sometimes I
sad.
wish that they had a producer, at least,
Yeah,
or somebody who
Yeah.
could coordinate all of this stuff for them.
Oh
yeah.
God.
Oh my goodness.
What do you think about, like, just making a producer and that would be their Christmas gift? Like, we wrap him up and we put them under a Christmas tree and we're like, hey. I don't know. I feel like definitely that clip, if it ever comes out, would be my Dream SMP Christmas present.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
God, that would be so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't have enough Dream lore, and that's one of the most
Which is
intriguing
really
ones.
funny because Dream is the most talked about character.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's Dream SMP, literally, like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What time? I'm probably gonna. Oh my, it's
Now,
already night.
now, what is everyone's, like, now going off topic from Dream and over to our good old friend DreamXD? What does
Oh
everyone
God.
think the other book is actually, like? What does everyone think that book is?
I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's a kill book.
Yeah, it 100% isn't, because
Well, he
after
said
he
it's not.
yeah,
It's not.
like, Foolish asked, so you're saying that it's a death book, and DreamXD said, well, no, it's not actually, but I won't tell you what it is.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
it'll
But
be.
Yeah,
people were
so
excited about
he
it.
denied it. So it's not a death book. We know that much.
No.
I think
It'll
it
be a
would be
mechanic
useless.
that's
Yeah,
solely for lore and advancing lore.
I think
Yeah.
too. It's funny because like I actually at the beginning when he said, "Oh, I dropped a book," I didn't think about the revival book first. At first, I was like, I thought about Ranbu and his books, obviously, and I was like, no, this is stupid.
No,
And then I was like, a
Rambu
book
wrote his
that,
books.
yeah,
There's no way XD.
but because like books are associated to Ranbu, it just came to mind. And I was like, no, this is stupid. And then I was like, a book that gives you power. And I thought about Carl and his planned lore with
His
DreamXD that we
time
don't
travel
know.
book. A
And
time travel book.
I thought about a time travel book.
A time travel book? That would be so cool.
Yeah, I was like, that would be so cool. But actually, it hasn't been found, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has not.
It would make more sense
So,
if, like, Carl had it.
Yeah.
So, unless it's like, because it's time travel, like it's a book from the future, so it has been found by Carl, but technically now it's back in the, like, I don't know, maybe there's a loop
Hey,
somewhere,
maybe.
but that would have been nice.
That's kind
Because
of
that's
cool.
definitely,
Because that's a mechanic
it's
outside of Minecraft that would help lore.
yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah.
exactly.
I kind of had a wild theory that it would be in a stronghold in the New World,
Oh, interesting.
but yeah, rethinking it and based
I
on
don't
what XD
think-
said.
What did he say?
Oh, he said that he dropped 2 books, so it must be in the current Dream SMP world.
I think, yeah, he probably made them together. It's
Yeah.
definitely in the stronghold. I wouldn't be too surprised, actually,
Yeah.
that someone found it and just, like, never touched it, believing it was somebody else's stuff.
I mean, Bad mentioned, he could have been bluffing, but he mentioned having seen a book ages ago and just dismissed it. But now he thinks that that's the book that DreamXD was talking about.
The
So,
thing is,
again, Bad could have been bluffing. But
it's funny because, like, I feel like I have a memory of seeing that. But it could be made up memory. Like, sometimes when somebody, like, tells you about something you're supposed to know, you make up a memory to, like, fill in the...
Right.
So it could be exactly that. So I don't.
And I do think that it is that. I don't think Bad has ever, like, on stream, like, seen, quote unquote, a book that could have been from DreamXD, even if we didn't know it yet. Like, I don't think that's ever happened on stream. No, like, I've seen a lot of his streams, and I don't think that's ever happened.
No.
It would make sense that it never happened, but I can't shake the feeling that I feel like I saw something like that.
I think you're confusing that for when Origins Rambu found the Do Not Read book.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're confusing.
And that would be
because he found it in a stronghold library.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
that would
might
make
have
sense.
been intentional.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And also, speaking of Origins, just real quick, Phil and Tubbo both mentioned how they're gonna reset the server again.
I know.
Yeah. See.
Third time's a charm, I guess.
We should make a Discord for talking about Origins lore.
Or at least a separate channel.
I have not followed Origins lore enough.
Yeah, same, but I do love Ron Boo's character there.
Oh,
I love him so much. So
The
freaking
little-
sassy! I love it!
The little sassy Enderman Prince.
Yeah, our sassy Ender Prince.
I love him.
I love him so much. It's just, yes.
He's so horrible. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's not murder, Chet. It's not murder.
And him having a book of nice things to say to people.
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny.
And it's so nice that he loves that character so much too.
Yeah, like, honestly, I bet it's just, like, a way for him to, like, indirectly vent out any frustrations he has over the course of that day. Like, it's just a good way for him to vent.
For sure.
And complain and like be completely excused for anything. That's
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah, like, it's definitely a good stress reliever.
That's so cool.
Didn't he describe the character as just him without a filter?
I don't remember, but maybe, yeah.
I think that was something. Did anyone watch them play Risk last night?
I started, then I was like, oh, I need to revise.
In the first 2 hours of Tubbo's stream, like at the 2 hour mark, I think they started playing Risk. Oh, it was so funny. It was so funny. I haven't laughed that hard during a stream in a while, like since the Jackbox streams.
People were having so much fun.
Oh, they were having so much fun.
Yeah.
I started watching it until the point where I think Tubbo killed Ranbo, but I haven't finished it, so don't spoil it.
No.
Yeah. Also, again, drifting off topic, but I posted something in general, which was Puffy tweeted that lore will be soon.
Puffy lore soon. But I think she teased that already, and she said that it wasn't like her pirate story lore, it was like modern, like present day lore.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I would love to see more of her origin story, though.
Oh, yeah, her origin story looked so cool.
Yeah. Like, it was finally canonizing the fact that she was a pirate.
Yeah,
like,
she was a pirate. How exciting.
Yeah, like, that's fully canon now.
And it would also add more to how everyone got on the SMP to begin with.
Yeah, and also it adds another person to the gang of amnesiacs.
Woo!
Amnesiatic gang. Woo!
But it kind of seems like everyone on the server has some sort of amnesia.
Yeah, maybe it's linked
to
the server.
That's what I was thinking, that everyone was summoned to the Dream SMP, and I think you were talking about that when we were talking about like religions and primes, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying that they were aware that they were allowed in the land and they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Not everyone has amnesia, because Tommy remembers the fact that he was made in a lab, if that is canon.
Is that canon?
No, that's not canon.
That's not canon.
Oh. Okay,
he said that he remembered how he was before Dream SMP.
Yeah.
He said that he remembered being always the one who lost. Like things. And
yeah,
he didn't win.
Yeah.
In the past. But he also made other allusions to his past, not really fully realizing. Like when he talked about Schlatt, he was talking about Schlatt, obviously like he did already know him.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't his first time meeting Schlatt when Schlatt first logged in the Dream SMP. And even when they brought him back, it was like Wilbur, Tommy, and like yeah, he already knew him. And I remember I talked about my headcanon that Schlatt was actually a businessman that was probably bankrupt or something. And yeah, they knew. So that would kind of like be. I never watched Dream SMP, but SMP Live. But that would kind of canonize the past as like SMP Live kind of thing.
Yeah. And SMP Earth
Maybe.
too.
And an SMP Earth. Sorry, I think it was SMP Earth that I meant, and
but
I
they
said
both
SMP
might.
Earth.
They both might have been alluded to. Because Schlatt and Connor knew each other from SMP Live.
Oh, okay. I don't think they wanted to fully canonize it as connected, and I don't think it was meant to be this way.
Yeah.
But because they interact with other people as though other things happened, like it just cannot be understood without uh, acknowledging that this is probably connected.
I do like the SMP multiverse headcanon.
I mean, it makes sense, and everything that makes sense I like.
Yeah.
I'm very much canon compliant.
Yeah.
If it doesn't appear to be justified in canon, I'm like, no, no, no. That may be boring, but it's just personal preferences.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Wait, so here's a question. Seeing as you're willing to be more canon compliant,
Yeah.
in your ideas of Ranbu's design, does Ranbu have a mouth?
Yeah.
That's actually a question that's actually something I questioned myself several times. I'm not
Because his skin doesn't. His skin doesn't have a mouth.
They're all just block men.
His skin doesn't have a mouth, but technically he's canonically an Enderman.
Okay.
And Endermen, they have mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
But
is Tubbo blonde in canon then?
That's actually also a good question. And
because I literally can't picture him blonde.
Neither can I.
I think Tubbo is an interesting character because he's one of the characters that has been the most overtaken by fanon. Like most things that his character is decided by fanon. And at this point, if Tubbo said something like, "No, I'm actually blonde," I think no one would acknowledge.
No one would accept that. I mean, I do see fan arts of him being blonde.
Yeah. Yeah, like I do see a couple here and there, but it's not as much, nowhere near as much as brown hair.
But at the same time, if he changed the tweak skin to have brown hair, I wouldn't accept that either.
Yeah.
True. It would just look so weird.
It would just look so weird.
Yeah.
It's funny because like Tubbo is both blonde and brunette. Like if someone asks, you can say both. He's blonde and he has brown hair at the same time. Those two statements are true.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's like a dream mechanic. And like Tubbo, yeah, he's really overtaken by fanon. And I wondered myself several times, like, what his canon design was. And I think at some point, especially for characters like Tubbo, who's been really overtaken by the fanon way of, like, viewing him, it doesn't make much sense to probably wonder too much about that.
Yeah. And now I just became so curious. What is your idea on how Dream looks like?
Well, that's a tricky question.
Yeah.
Dream himself said he was a human. Yeah, that's also like everybody calls him the Green Man, but he's actually not green at all.
He's confirmed to be human.
Blob. Technically, his skin is a white blob, but not a green person.
Yeah.
He's a white person in front of a green screen. So that's interesting, like the confusion of him being a green man, because the green is like the color you see the most. So like you identify him as green, while in fact the blob representing him is like fully white, and the green is only the background. But yeah, he said himself he was a human, and at the same time, when people talk to him, they look at his blob eyes, and like most of them don't really look at his head, unless he's wearing a helmet, because usually helmet and armor just highlights the actual human like shape of the body, I guess. But like George, when he talks to Dream, he like looks at Dream in the eyes, in the blob eyes, and he doesn't look at his head. And I've seen other characters do that too.
I think it was
So I
also
was
confirmed
wondering.
that Dream has a mask, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, now
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, it wasn't that much confirmed. Although other people in canon have referred to him as having one, so. But now it is. I think we can take the fanon design of him and the mask on his face canon now, because he confirmed he was human.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about Carl? And that monstrosity of his first skin.
I I didn't think much, honestly, of his first skin. There's things that just works in Minecraft, and that wouldn't probably make sense to rationalize.
It's just some...
Yeah.
There's some cursed lore here.
Oh,
He was
God, yeah.
a sort of blob. And it's funny because some people are like, oh, he must be a kind of shapeshifter to like kind of make it more understandable in like real life, which is like still doesn't work because his first skin was backwards.
Yeah.
Like his head was on his like the back of his head.
Yeah.
So technically, if you wanted to explain that, I mean, it would be really complicated.
Yeah.
But just like religions, like it's funny, I've seen people trying to explain how religious Tommy was, and they try to compare it to Christianism, and I'm like, the thing is, it's not at all Christianism. It's not a religion like the one that we have on Earth. It's a religion, definitely, because like there's a religious behavior. There is prayings, there is like revering and like believing in something that makes you stronger, even if like that thing is not linked to what you're living right now. But it's not Christianism, and it's not comparable to Earth religions, because Minecraft works a certain way, and the way you know the world, and you know there is no God, or you know there is one, which is DreamXD, and you know how he interacts with people. You know that when he isn't around, then that means you can't summon him, you can't get favors from him. Like, there's a lot of things that are the way they are because it's Minecraft, and that would not be possible in real life. And that's also the reason the religion isn't the same. And people try to convert it into something real life-like, and I think it just doesn't work and kind of defies the purpose. So sometimes you gotta take what Minecraft gives you and just not modify it too much for it to make sense, actually.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back, AJ.
Oh,
Have you guys been here this entire time?
Yep.
Yep.
Goodness gracious. It's been like 2 hours. I literally was on Alchemy SMP for like an hour with Train, and then went and ate dinner. And back and you're still here.
Yep, we're just chatting lore.
Yep.
We're just having fun.
Goodness.
And also learning how Ryan sees Dream SMP characters.
Yeah, because I'm very canon compliant. So
yeah, so like cases like Ronbu's mouth, Tubbo's hair, and Dream in general are just interesting questions.
Dream in general.
I mean, just look at his skin.
True.
That's
Right.
true.
How do you have canon dream?
Well, now that he is confirmed that he was a human with a mask, then it's not that big of a deal. But before, that's what I was saying. Before, I used to think that he could legit be just a white blob in front of a screen.
Yeah,
Or
he
a
totally
green.
could.
Because,
Blobby
like,
Dream can do no wrong. Blobby Dream does no wrong.
He just has a green
That's
screen
not
following
because
him around.
like him
Little
being
blob
cute
tree.
doesn't mean he didn't do any wrong. Like, look at George. He's cute and he's chaotic as heck. So,
True.
Okay,
well,
but how can you be terrifying as just a
Oh,
blob?
gosh.
True, exactly.
that's also part
Reapers
of
are the
Dream's
bane
power.
of my existence. Ah.
That's also part of Dream's power, and that's something that really fascinates me because I've been interested in speech pattern recently, and I've realized, but the problem is I feel like it might not be appropriate because it might be analyzed more on Dream himself than the character, and I don't know if it would be a good thing or an appropriate thing to do to just analyze Dream himself. But he has a very specific speech pattern and made of a lot of stuttering. And it's interesting because usually when people stutter, the common thing would be that they're not very confident in themselves and quite shy. Like, for example, Ranbu used to stutter way more when he joined the Dream SMP and, like, repeat himself, especially when he wasn't sure, when he wanted to be casual about things, etc. When, like, Ranbu, for example, gets angry, he doesn't stutter at all. Like, he goes straight forward, and you can watch the VODs. When, like, for example, Tommy revives Wilbur, and, like, Ranbu says, "What the hell did you do?" He doesn't stutter. He doesn't repeat himself. He's just straightforward. And that's a constant thing with Ranbu too. Like, he stutters when he's, like, casual, not sure, asking questions, and especially in the beginning when he's, like, still kind of, like, started looking for his balance, his stability. But when he's certain of something or angry, he doesn't stutter as much. And for Dream, well, it doesn't mean the same thing at all. And that's very interesting because he stumbles over his words and he stutters a lot, which would not be something you associate with someone who's charismatic and has a lot of power over people when he talks. But people usually completely gloss over his stutter, and no one really, it doesn't impact his charisma at all, which is fascinating because usually it does. Why for Dream it doesn't, I don't know. I wanna analyze that, but yeah, I don't know if it's properly. What do you think?
Yeah, that's definitely, like, really freaking interesting with Dream.
Yeah. I feel like it is.
It's kind of funny because Tommy stumbles over his words more now than he did before.
That's interesting. That definitely says something. It's funny
I don't
because
like that.
people... yeah, it's not a good sign. But usually it's not. But for Dream, obviously, it's different. Like, it's really interesting because usually people kind of gloss over, like, they will analyze the way people move and have like this kind of gesture or way to express their emotion. But the way they talk is going to be kind of overlooked, and not all the time, but it's going to be kind of overlooked compared to how everything else is analyzed. And it's very saying about who people are and how they function.
Yeah,
So that's a shame.
that's interesting, because I never really, like, pay attention to that. But when DreamXD talks in the voice changer, I can tell it's a Dream by his inflections.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can just hear him through the voice changer, and I love it. Like, you can hear his voice. You can hear him through the voice changer, and I love it.
I will.
He has those words he will repeat all the time, especially well, something like that. He repeats well all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
wow, wow. And he's just gonna say it again and again. Even like whatever Foolish says, he's just gonna say wow.
Yeah.
It would take a lot of talent to like change those inflections
Oh yeah,
for a
for
character.
sure.
Like I'm just imagining that now.
I think you'd have to be a professional voice actor to be able to actually change the inflection in your voice in several different ways.
And not even
Yeah.
professional voice actors can do that.
Yeah.
Some can,
Some
but
can,
yeah,
yeah, but
it's a hard
it's a
job.
hard thing to do. Which is why some voice actors end up being typecast.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's interesting, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What do you Minecraft kid?
Yeah, Dream doesn't speak this way because he wants to say something with his character. He just does. And so that's also a CC Dream thing. So, although I feel completely, like, perfectly fine analyzing character Dream and, like, psychoanalyzing him and, like, making assumption about how he feels about himself, etc. CC Dream, I'm not so fan of that. I think it would be weird and kind of intrusive of me to just make assumption of what he says probably means or doesn't mean, and I don't feel that comfortable with it. Although
Yeah.
I feel like it would be very interesting for the character, but since it's the same thing, I mean, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like Renbu is more interesting, like, and no, not more interesting, but easier to analyze the speech pattern of, because I feel like even though there's definitely similarities in the way he talks and the way his character talks, I feel like there's more of a clear cut between the two, in my mind at least.
Yeah.
That's definitely grown more prevalent as like, you know, since he's like gone to Britain and stuff. There
Yeah.
used to be less of a divide, but
That's because he changed a lot, and his
did.
character is based on who he was when he met them, and he changed a lot since then. But his character technically didn't go through the things he went through, so his character didn't change as much.
Real life character development.
It exists. Real life character development.
Yes, it
Yep.
does. That's just
You know
basically.
what else exists? AJ struggling.
Aw. Hello.
What do you want?
Even Cat agrees. I already
Hello.
forgot the cat's name.
Makina. I don't know what she wants.
Makina returns.
What? What do you want? Okay, stop screaming. Oh god.